Guerrero's up in the air, delayed vertical suplex. Under the power of that car.
If you want to enter our new Xbox and PS5 giveaway, all you have to do is subscribe and leave a comment. We'll be picking a subscriber to win out of the comments. When wrestlers wage war, they usually do so inside of the ring. The squared circle has witnessed some of the greatest wrestling wars of all time, but not every match has been fought within its confines. Over the years, WWE has booked several matches to take place entirely outside of the ring or using certain gimmicks to start in the ring, before swiftly making the move from the squared circle. I'm the Wicked from Watch WWE, and here's 10 times WWE wrestlers fought outside the squared circle. Number 10, the boneyard match. For the first time in history, WWE was forced to put WrestleMania on without a live audience in attendance. Early on, fans were worried what it would be like. After all, the absence of an audience and the small-time feel of a performance center meant that WrestleMania just would not be the biggest show of the year. Instead, putting on a traditional wrestling show, WWE took advantage of the fact that it could get a little bit creative with its matches, leading to the creation of the cinematic match. God bless Lucha Underground inspiring this one. There were 2 cinematic matches at the event, and one of them was AJ Styles versus The Undertaker in a boneyard match. And wow, fans had no idea what to expect going into the event, but WWE knocked it out of the pissing park. The match took place in a graveyard, sounds dumb, was great, and saw both men beat the living daylights out of each other. It was a great match. It celebrated The Undertaker's phenomenal career. It gave ode to multiple different eras of his time, and Styles bumped around like crazy for the legend. It was the best performance Taker's had in years. The emergence of the unholy trinity, which was a combination of the Dead Man, the American Badass, and Mark Calloway, was fascinating, a fantastic, and a fitting send-off for undoubtedly one of the greatest performers of all time. Number 9, Mankind vs. The Undertaker, Boiler Room Brawl. The SummerSlam after WrestleMania 7 was headlined by 2 marquee matches, Shawn Michaels vs. Vader for the WWF title, and Mankind vs. The Undertaker. First ever Boiler Room Brawl. Fans had no idea what they were going into with this match, and while it may not be held in very high regard anymore, it was a very big deal when it first took place. The Phenom and Mankind beat each other so senselessly in the unconventional setting. The match was a perfect display of Taker's physicality and ability to get his hands dirty, while Mankind was his usual dependable self, bumping for the Dead Man like crazy and leaving fans worried for his safety. The setting of the match put both performers over in a big way and was notable for the way it ended. The final stretch of the match saw Paul Bearer turn on The Undertaker by hitting him in the head with the urn and aligning himself with Mankind, a twist literally no one saw coming. And of course, fans of the product know that Taker and Mankind would surpass the brutality with ease at their Hell in a Cell match, but for a while the Boiler Room Brawl was considered the most brutal match gimmick in the entire promotion. So why not bring it back for number 8, Big Show vs. Mankind, Boiler Room Brawl. At Backlash 1999, Big Show took on Mankind in the second ever Boiler Room Brawl. With a series of matches between Mankind and The Undertaker setting the new standard for in-ring violence, there's hardly anyone who remembered that the Boiler Room Brawl even existed by the time this match rolled around. The fact that Big Show's size made him such a terrifying opponent in the ring meant that Mankind was able to make good use of his surroundings to pit the odds in his favor. Seeing Show in the hardcore style match was certainly an interesting watch, and with injuries taking a lot on Mick Foley, the gimmicky match was a perfect way to make good use of his hardcore experience. Mankind emerged victorious against all odds, but the match was pretty underwhelming overall. Clocking in at just under 8 minutes, there really wasn't even enough time for both performers to be putting an enjoyable match together, making this one of Mankind's less enjoyable hardcore outings. Number 7, Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt, the Swamp Fight at Extreme Rules, the Horror Show, or what the ever. But Braun Strowman filled in for Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 36, and he defeated Bill Goldberg to win the Universal title. And while that felt far from earned, it was still good to see Braun winning the big one after so many years of just being on the cusp of that main event scene. When WWE immediately booked him into a feud with Bray Wyatt, fans were pretty worried that his reign is going to be cut short, as the promotion would hastily put the gold back on the host of the Firefly Funhouse. But to WWE's credit, the company did well to draw out the feud. First, Strowman defeated Firefly Funhouse Bray at Money in the Bank after a brief feud with The Miz and John Morrison, Strowman took on Wyatt once again, but this time he brought back the Eater of Worlds gimmick as he sought to turn Strowman back into the Wyatt family member he once was. They waged war in a Wyatt swamp fight at the horror show at Extreme Rules. Oh, it's so dumb. Both men waged a physical and psychological war at the Wyatt family compound before Wyatt won the non-title match by dragging his opponents into the murky water. It was weird. Number 6, Bray Wyatt versus Matt Hardy, the ultimate deletion. I forgot this happened. After losing the WWE Championship to Randall Keith at WrestleMania 33 in a truly terrible match, Bray Wyatt's career spiraled once more. He was soon drafted to Raw, where he entered a feud with Matthew Hardy, which resulted in the reemergence of Broken Matt Hardy, now Woken Matt Hardy, because trademark copyright, we don't want your money. Their encounters in the ring over the next several weeks eventually gave way to an ultimate deletion match on the March 19th episode of Raw back in 2018. This was the first real run Hardy had at the opportunity to show off the Woken persona for the WWE Universe. The surreal match took place at the Hardy family compound as Hardy suckered Wyatt into the madness of his creation. It was a fun, entertaining match, the likes of which Raw hadn't really seen in a long time, and after defeating Wyatt, Hardy pushed him into the lake of reincarnation, which took Wyatt off programming for a solid month, and at the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, Wyatt helped Hardy win, turning face for the first time in his career and teaming alongside Matt Hardy, and we all cheered. Number 5, Ken Shamrock versus Owen Hart, the dungeon match. In July of 1998, fans witnessed the one and only dungeon match to ever take place as Ken Shamrock and Owen Hart took each other on in a Hart dungeon. Old wood paneling and a dusty floor played host to the brutal submission match between the technical specialists. The small room was steeped in history as industry legends such as Bret the Hitman Hart, Jim Anvil Neidhart, and many others had learned the art of mat-based wrestling in this very room. Both men put on a great match full of stiff strikes and the performers making good use of their unforgiving surroundings, and the match didn't play heed to the purity of mat-based wrestling as Owen Hart used a dumbbell to try and pick up a tainted victory over Ken Shamrock.
Shamrock has been knocked out. And look, Simon, look. Owen Hart.
Number 4, Eddie Guerrero versus John Cena parking lot brawl. On a September 11th episode of SmackDown in 2003, John Cena took on Eddie Guerrero in a parking lot brawl. The young, brash Cena took on one of the promotion's greatest performers in a match typified by hard concrete and the breaking of car windshields. It was a brutal, violent affair as both men put each other through absolute hell, with Cena in particular proving that he was capable of taking violent bumps. He ended up losing the match to Latino Heat, but still made a big impression on the WWE Universe.
Guerrero's up in the air, delayed vertical suplex onto the back of that car.
Number 3, Roddy Piper versus Goldust, the Hollywood backlot brawl. Wow, WrestleMania 7, you sure got a show. The match between Roddy Piper and Goldust was shot days before the event and was interspersed throughout the entire show. Even though Piper swapped in for Scott Hall at the 11th hour, the performers did a great job of ramping up the animosity with several stiff shots. The match also referenced the O.J. Simpson car chase with Piper chasing Goldust on California's 405 highway. It was ridiculous stuff, but it worked in the context of the match, with Goldust even being stripped at the end of the match to reveal that he was wearing women's lingerie. The match also marked Piper's last ever pay-per-view appearance for the promotion before jumping ship to WCW.
Unbelievable. Oh, no.
Number 2, Randall Keith versus Edge. At the Royal Rumble in 2020, Edge made his unexpected yet very expected return to the ring after 9 years of retirement from bad neck syndrome. It was a great moment and Edge looked fantastic, and while he failed to win the big match, it was still surreal to see the rated R superstar back in action. The next night on Raw, Randy Orton turned heel on him, hitting him with a brutal concerto. It was truly unexpected and immediately established the Viper as the #1 heel in the company. In the weeks that followed, Orton repeatedly targeted the people closest to Edge, which led to the last man standing match at WrestleMania 36, and it was a slog. The match started out in the ring, but it was not long before the fight spilled outside. Orton and Edge fought pretty much everywhere in the Performance Center. The match was overlong and often fell victim to its own stipulation as long sections of repeated counts lulled the excitement. Still, the final sequence of the match was fantastic. Both men ramped up the brutality, everything from Orton's character work to Edge's internal conflict as he put down his best friend. It was executed masterfully. It just, Jesus, they could have cut 20 minutes off this thing and it still would have been boring. And number one, God bless him, Bray Wyatt versus John Cena, the Firefly Funhouse match. The second ever cinematic match WWE put on. Also, WrestleMania 36 saw Bray Wyatt take on John Cena in a Firefly Funhouse match, and holy shit, this was something. Once again, fans had no idea what to expect, but they were blown away by what was witnessed. It literally wasn't a match. It was a descent into Wyatt's twisted mind. It was full of wrestling Easter eggs as Wyatt sent Cena hurtling through past and present, showing him alternate histories that never even happened, like him in the NWO. What am I looking at on screen? While there were sections of this match that took place in the ring, it's difficult to say that it was even a real ring or if it was just a manifestation of Wyatt's madness. Bray didn't just defeat Cena, he eviscerated him. He's gone. 1 second he's there, then he vanished. From throwing back his ruthless aggression debut to referencing his failed relationship with Nikki Bella, Wyatt picked at John's psyche, beating the franchise player in a way never before seen in a WWE ring. The final sequence of the match saw the Fiend emerge and put Cena out of his misery. It was a surrealist masterpiece and proved that WWE knew how to put on a phenomenal product when it was really motivated, even without a crowd. And those are 10 times that WWE wrestlers fought outside of the ring. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments down below. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel and notifications, ring that bell.